Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harris. Thank you so much for swinging back by. Today, I'm here with a bit of an industry legend, a good friend of mine, Rudy Casanova. Rudy, thank you for being here, buddy.
Appreciate that.
All right, so Rudy, you are the co-founder and chief revenue officer of Global Strategic. Would you just take 30, 60 seconds, tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, love to. So Global Strategic has been around for 17 years now. We started the company as a result of my consulting firm, Rainmaker Solutions. Had a client of mine come to me and ask for me to partner with him. He had a small call center operation doing some work for UBS Mortgage at the time. We started the company in the default mortgage sector of the market, doing back-end legal work for a lot of the industry law firms out there. And we've grown it since then. So we've been around since 2006 now. And the company itself has been, we've now diversified into several other verticals. One of our largest niches at this point is the property management or single-family rental market and multifamily market. So beyond that, we're also doing business with accounting firms, with medical billing firms, with recruiting firms. So although about 80% of our business is more mortgage-centric or real estate-centric in nature.
And you do back-end operations. I know you provide virtual assistants. What all types of services and product? I mean, is it support, or are you actually doing these things?
We're actually, so it is back office support, but we're doing it on behalf of our clients and operating within their systems and platforms. So, Tim, what we get to do is we get to intimately know what our clients do, how they process. And because of the amount of clients that we have in various sectors, we become industry experts in it. And we begin to produce subject matter experts who intimately know the process and how to manage their workflows. And dynamically speaking, we make sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. We would do a lot of QC review. We do a lot of things that we create, the manuals, the training manuals on behalf of the clients. Sometimes they don't have those sort of things. And we're also providing metrics for them associated with the processing of their workflow. So as such, they now understand how much is coming in, how much is going out on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's crucial for ultimately allowing them to become more profitable. And that's kind of what we help do.
Very good, very good. So the first segment every week is called the bottom line up front. Let's face it, people don't pay attention for very long these days.
Absolutely not.
And in the Marine Corps, they used to teach us to not bury the lead, tell the general the most important thing up front. So I want you to take up to 2 minutes, tell the audience the most important things you're seeing in the markets, things that you think investors should be focused on, avoiding, pursuing, kind of the clip notes of what we'll talk about for the next half hour.
Excellent.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Go.
So what I believe is what I'm seeing in the market from a lot of our clients right now is there's been a dramatic shift in how our various clients are approaching the business. There's been a lot of sell-offs of portfolio because they're taking advantage of the difference in the mortgage rates at this point and versus the rental rates, and they're capturing that income for their companies and pulling out. There's not as much of the purchase from a purchase and rehab perspective, right? Where they're purchasing, rehabbing, and then going through and renting, right? That's becoming a little more difficult today with mortgage rates going up, with values being as high as they are, and they're having problems with that penciling out from a monthly yield perspective. So those kind of things are what we're seeing. So as a result of that, a lot of our clients are starting to kind of look internally, and they're trying to go through and create more profitability through their general process flow, right? Improving their process flow, cleaning up the books, making sure that they have everything that they do well documented so that as the market begins to turn, they can then go through and actively take advantage of that. So what our group is doing to help them along with that is help them dot all the I's and cross the T's, which I mentioned earlier, because what we need to do in that is if they're able to be more effective in their process management and they're be able to become leaner, as it were, then as the market grows and shifts, then they're going to be able to become more profitable, and they'll be able to divert those profits into growth for the future.
very interesting stuff, Rudy. A lot of the smaller investors are like, well, the hedge funds are gone. And I'm over here like, no, they're not. They're just cleaning up. You know, they've used this, I'd say, last 18-month period to not even reorganize, right? But in the military, if you had this big advance, you would stop, gather, change the tires, check the oil, get everything organized, you know, and then get ready for the next phase. And I feel like what you're just talking about is very interesting because there's a lot of that going on right now. It's kind of, what do we need? How do we make it more efficient? Let's take a look back at what we've been doing. A good friend of mine, Casey, that was on the show last year, said, you know, good habits are formed in bad times and bad habits are formed in good times. And I think a lot of us had a lot of bad habits over the last 5 or 10 years. And now we're trying to get back to good habits.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, what we're seeing is a lot of our clients are going through and they are coming to us and they're asking for kind of industry best alternatives, right? What can we do differently? What do you see in the marketplace today that we can change to make ourselves more profitable, to make ourselves a leaner, meaner fighting machine, right? And so we go through and we kind of help them with that. We tell them, you know, you're processing in this manner today. We've seen everyone else kind of going in this direction, and this is kind of what we believe you should be looking at. So we're there to kind of help move the cart down a certain path, right?
Yeah.
And as such, I think when the market turns, they're going to be more poised to be able to become profitable. The other part is, you know, labor market's difficult today, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are having trouble finding the right talent. And when you start looking to outsource or started to push some of your workflow to other companies who are experts in it, right? Now you're taking that headache of the employee and the headache of the process management away, and you're giving it to the people who do it on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, you're going to allow yourself to become better at what you are good at. So a lot of these companies, you know, they're great at sourcing deals, right? They're great at finding the next opportunity. And if someone's in the background doing all the process work, right, your more highly compensated employees can go through and focus on finding the next best deal to be able to generate revenue for the company. So,
you know, it's funny. At RCN, we've got hundreds of employees on multiple continents, and there was always this. I don't know. Since we're dealing with people's personal information, we're dealing with credit scores, we're dealing with bank statements. There's this hesitance to use a virtual assistant or an offshore resource, and it was funny. We use you guys,
correct,
and there was some resistance at first until the IT people kind of dove in. They're like, "Yeah, they've got better security practices than us." Where did you learn that? Like, just trial and error?
No, not necessarily trial and error. So we actually, we eat our own cooking. So we go through and we have an outsourced IT provider, right? We're not doing that all internally. We're looking to an expert in the market. And so we hired out.
Eat our own cooking. I'm sorry, I can't even, that's a great one, Rudy.
It is. We eat our own cooking. I mean, you got to believe in what you do, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to take on my service for outsourcing, right, then we should outsource as well for where we're not an expert.
Right.
And we do. And so because of that, they made us better. Then we also did things like the ISO certification, right? We're 27001 certified. And that's an international data standard, right? Data integrity standard. And we have certain process management where, because we are held more accountable than operations here in the U.S. are, like, people look to us and they have concerns with our ability to be able to protect their data. So we need to do it better. And as such, we went out and got the ISO certification. And then our IT provider goes through and makes sure that our back-end architecture is such that when we're accessing the platforms of our clients, that they are 100% secure and protected. And so that's why. And because you, as a client, expect me to do it better.
Right.
You expect me to offer that for you as a solution. And that's what we do.
So, you know, I think some entrepreneurs may be listening thinking, well, I'm not a big company. This doesn't really apply to me. But one of the fun things about working with your virtual assistants in the last probably year and a half has been how flexible they are, and then how easy they are to train, because like we have your help training them, right? And so I if you're in the audience right now and you're thinking, well, I may tune out of this, just listen to me, because so many of these masterminds I go to, it's all about process. It's all about process. And really, if you're just a one-off flipper that's buying a house, trying to get it, under contract, transaction management, escrow management, title management, closing management, post-closing, utilities, asset management, rehab management, all the way through, you've got a process. Now, oftentimes, people like me, it's all back to the napkin stuff, right? It's kind of like I got these notepads and I got this memory. But the cool thing about what you guys do, and this isn't about an infomercial, I want to get to the core of how you figured it out, is you draw all of this knowledge out of us and turn it into a process. Is that you're doing? Is that your partner's doing? How did that become part of what you guys do?
So we've been in business 17 years.
Right.
There's trial and error there. I'm not going to lie. We've done it a multitude of different ways. Over the course of time, we figured out that we need to really get to understand what our clients do, how they do it, right? And because now we're doing it for so many people, we now have a wealth of secret sauce, right? We have a lot of people who understand this is the way I do it, and this is why I do it this way. And we start taking from that the best pieces. And because of those best pieces, when somebody comes to us and they're a one-off investor, right? They're somebody who has 20 properties. And we have plenty of those guys that we work with. They come to us and say, look, I have 20 properties. Can you really help me? The answer is yes. And because we're going to impart to you some knowledge that you may have not thought of, some things you didn't do or don't think you can do because you don't think you're big enough, when in fact the reality is you are. As soon as you have one property, you can start doing it in a different way, right? Don't hem yourself into one corner, right?
Well, don't reinvent the wheel. This is what I'm trying to say. I go to these conferences and it's this VA staffing company, or I go to the Facebook group and Billy the investor is looking for a great way to hire a cheap VA, and you're like, just so you know, I'm not trying to act like I'm some sort of deity. I've made this mistake. You hire the cheap VA and then you don't train the cheap VA, or you don't help document your systems and processes, and then they just become a bother. And you let them go. Right. So I think what I'm hearing, and it's what gets me excited, is frankly why we were successful with you guys is no. We're going to figure out your process first. We'll give you some ideas, but we're going to, what do you call that? Process mapping, onboarding. What is that about?
All of the above. So we want to go through and we do a deep dive, right? So we'll go through and you're going to turn over lease management to us, right? Okay. How do you do lease management today? And
I don't.
In the back of your brain, I know you don't, but in the back of your brain, your processors, your people who do that on a daily basis, they've got it all up there, right? But it's all sitting in their mind, not necessarily written down. We go through and we're like, okay, we need step 1, we need step 2 through 100, and we're going to process map that down each and every individual piece. And then we're going to go back to you and we're going to say, okay, this is how we have it. Did we miss anything? And then your experts are going to go through and go, oh yeah, I forgot to say in between items 17 and 18, we need to do this. Okay, then we're going to make the adjustment. And now we have a very comprehensive process flow that is infallible for the most part. Regulations may change. There may be opportunities. You may decide to do something differently. You may have a different type of property that change it up a little bit, and we make those adjustments then. But the advantage is once we're doing that with your people, we come through and we have a full training division, right? Because we are the size that we are.
Yeah.
And now, once they've imparted that knowledge to us, that knowledge is then imparted to our training division. And then from that point forward, as you expand, or, if Rudy, who's your everyday VA, gets hit by a bus and is no longer in the office, we have train somebody in the background. And now you no longer have that training because, again, what's important to you is focusing on what makes your business grow.
Right.
And sitting there and training Rudy to do the next line of process isn't going to help you grow that business, right? That's why my trainers take that on. And we have that all in the background. We have it all documented. And so from that point forward, from the time that you step on with the VA, whether it's us or somebody else, it doesn't really matter. Any VA company, don't go the cheap route, right? Don't go to the guy who's sitting in his home, and he's got the chickens clucking in the background, right? And that happens.
How did you know?
That was your guy, right? Yeah, exactly. So they go through and you want to make sure that you've got those things documented. You want to make sure. And then now that's something you never have to worry about again. Go with a company who can offer you those kind of services. Go with somebody who can help you get there, right? And that is what's going to make you more successful.
So we're going to take a quick break and come back, and I'm going to put you through a bit of a challenge. I think,
oh boy,
I'll enjoy it.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Thanks a lot.
At RCN Capital, we know that time is money. With our competitive rates and quick turnaround time, you can receive funding in as little as 10 days. We offer flexible payment plans to relieve the pressure of repayment process. Our team is experienced in making sure that you choose a loan that will suit you best. Get on the phone with the loan officer today by emailing info@rcncapital.com or clicking the link in our bio. Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Tim Harridge here, still with Rudy Casanova. Rudy, let's just pretend that we're working with a fix and flipper. And that fix and flipper doesn't want to hire a VA, but they need to figure out their process feels painful.
Okay.
Like it's just, they're doing everything kind of by memory or intuition. What are some steps that you would recommend? And because Jeff and I started this podcast, the entire thing was at the end of every episode, we want an investor to come away with a way to make more money. So let's talk about things that investors can do to understand their own processes better. Let's say that they're going to build it out in-house. What are some steps they can take to break down their process, understand their process, document it, dot the I's and cross the T's like you were talking about you guys do? Let's help them out in that process mapping and documentation phase.
So, again, I'm going to lean to go with some industry experts, right? Go with some people who understand what you don't, right? If you're not great at a certain part of the construction phase, right? Go find a reputable contractor that you can then talk to and work with and be able to go through and have them help you make some of the design in what you're doing, right? You go buy a property and that property is needing $50,000, $100,000 worth of work in order to become rentable condition, right?
Yep.
But you need to bring it up to market standards. If you don't understand what the market standard is for that particular area, then you need to find somebody who does, right? So my point is, in every piece of the business that you do, make sure that you're engaging with somebody who knows a little bit more than you, somebody who understands the process a little bit better than you. And that's going to help you grow, right? And they may not be the forever answer, but they can help you get there, right? And, somebody like, if you come to a company like us, we're going to go through and we're going to say, hey, today on let's take lease or repair management, right? So you don't have a maintenance coordinator, right? You've got 10 properties. Your maintenance coordinator is Tim. Tim's right. The maintenance coordinator.
You're screwed.
Yeah, we're in trouble. So we go through and we say, Tim, hey, get with the maintenance coordinator. Get with a contractor who you can farm those processes out to. Go and reach out to Joe the plumber. Go reach out to Evan the electrician. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that you have them on direct dial at all points to be able to help you through those processes and help you get there. And then once you get those properties into a management state, do you know how to manage those properties, right? Can you take them on? Can you put them into your own portfolio? Can you lease them? Do you know all the regulations associated with the process of leasing in your jurisdiction, whatever zip code or whatever county you're in, right?
Let's talk about some steps that someone can take maybe to, so say the result is I want to buy a house, fix a house, and rent a house, right? I'm trying to really get through, how do you break that down into stages or processes? So I don't even know what processes I need at this point, right? I mean, I think that's where investors, the smaller investors don't look at this as pipeline management or project management. It's like, I need to get my house fixed, right? And what you guys have done so well for us is everything when we bring you, what was it? A month ago, it was now the fun thing is in the manager meeting, can't we have the VAs blank? Like it's just, can't we have the VAs blank? And
the answer is yes.
Insert a thing. And Tiffany, the manager, she's like, oh my God, I have to train them on something else. But she doesn't have to train them. She has to talk to your training department about what we need them to do, create one training and in your training department. But like, I guess not a lot of people know how to break down. How important is it to take task and break it down into steps when training your internal team or your external team?
If you don't build a good foundation, then the building will crumble, right? And that's what it comes down to. So you have to go through in every piece of it. So if you're sourcing a property, right? Source a property that you understand. Source an area that you understand, right? Don't, if you're playing in the $300,000 property market, don't go to the $1 million property market and then expect to do as well, right? Because there's a lot of different ways of handling that property.
Right.
So you need to understand, what's your goal, right? What sector am I growing in? What's my market? What's my target, right? So that's your first building block. Once you figure that out then for that area, what's the next piece of that? The next piece of that is, okay, how do I get it up to marketable condition? How do I get it to rentable condition? Do I know the regs in that area? Do I have everything settled there? It's a step-by-step process, and the more detailed that you can become in every process, then the stronger your foundation is in your overall business model. For us, I said there was a lot of trial and error, right? 17 years of it. We made some mistakes. We did some things wrong, but then we built off of that because we learned what we needed to do. Don't expect to, come out of the gates and, hit home runs every time. That's not realistic. It's not going to happen. So take a measured moment at everything that you do and make sure, all right, I got property A on the market, right? This is average rent rates. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to manage it. Am I managing it internally? Am I doing it myself? Or am I sending that out to a property management company to manage for me?
Right.
And then does the property management company that I'm working with have the right protocols in place to be able to meet all the needs that I have? How do they process? So understand the people that you outsource to and understand who you're working with to make sure that they have your same end goal in mind and are as thorough in your process management as you are. And I think that's going to help get you there. Again, make the building blocks, take baby steps and get it going there. It took us a long time to get to where we are today. But we did it measured.
Right.
And because of that, 0809 happened. I mean, we didn't talk about this. 0809 happened, and I literally lost 90% of my team, right? Because in 10, Fannie Freddie said, no more offshoring for any default-related business work, right? So we had to retool. We had a great model. We had everything going the right direction. We had to retool in 10, and we went down to 20 employees, right? And, that was a crushing blow. And we went through and we went through different verticals. And now, like I said, we're in a number of different verticals. But we did that in the interest of shoring up our backside so that never happened to us again.
Right.
So
what are some big boy lessons that you may have seen some of your customers learn that you think could help the little guys out there?
I will say investing the time up front to train appropriately, right? That's the biggest mistake that I think most companies make. It's very few of the small guys have everything documented, right? Very few of the big guys have everything documented. Let's be clear.
Let's be very clear. I just have enough money to hide the problem.
They have enough to, they have enough profitability where they can go through and they're like, we lost a few hundred, a few thousand there. It's okay, right? But the small guys can't afford to do that. They can't afford to take a few $1,000 loss because that's detrimental to their business model. Take the time to set up what you're doing appropriately. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's time consuming. Yes, you think you have other things to do, but if you don't put your footing correctly in the ground, then you're going to set yourself up for failure later.
When I feel like proper process building, process documentation, planning, the time it saves you is so compounded, right? Like, I mean, it's it's not that you don't have to deal with it tomorrow. It's that you don't have to deal with it tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day or the next. Like the things that you're able to work on then, like, I don't know. It just, I find it, I go through this in my own mind all the time. After 20-something years of buying houses, there's a lot of things that I do intuitively.
Correct.
It's just, text the guy and tell him I need the insurance, and text the guy and tell him I need the, the financing, and, it's that kind of stuff. Text the realtor and tell her I need to list it. And I even find myself, it's one of the reasons I don't like the business anymore, is I haven't taken the time, like, I'm guilty of this. I haven't taken the time to document all this shit that I don't want to do.
Right.
Right. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, you know what? I need to just hire these guys, and I bet they could figure out how to take over my Airbnb listings too. I bet they could figure out how to do my midterm rentals. Ooh, they could probably do the leases. Like, I'm thinking about all this stuff that my wife does and I do still because we're bad entrepreneurs. That, hey, if that means on a Saturday I don't have to do this lease, I can watch football.
That's what I'm going to say is,
Or go hunting.
I'm all over that one. That's one of the things that people don't realize is it's about gaining your time back, right? If you're not doing the little minutia, right? Somebody else is doing it for you, and it's getting done appropriately and getting done in the same manner that you want it to be done. Right? Or you expect it to be done, or you need it to be done. Then that frees up your calendar. It frees up your time for your family. And ultimately, I mean, look, we're all working for a better life. We're all working to try and better the lives of our family, the lives of our spouses, whoever, right? The lives of ourselves. And we do that. And if you don't take the time, if you take the time now to train these individuals and then get somebody to do that little bit of work for you, then you can focus on things that are more important in life, right? And it's not just about growing your company. It's not just about growing your number of doors that you have, but it's about the quality time that you're spending at home. It's about the time that you can go out and hunt. It's the time you can go watch a full game. It's the time you can take your wife to dinner. It's the time you can do something with your kids, right? And that's what we all strive for. And I think that's what that should be the end goal.
What are some, I'm going to ask the question, I'm going to give you my first one. What are some deadly sins that you've seen customers make as they attempt to offshore or bring on third-party support, we'll just say? What did you call it earlier? The IT people, they're...
Where I'm eating my own cooking, you were talking?
Yeah.
You might outsource providers, yeah.
Yeah, outsource providers. What are some deadly sins you see people make that end up making the relationship with the outsource provider fail? I'll tell you, the one that I am the most guilty of is delegation by abdication. Kind of like, great, Rudy, you're in charge of that now, and then I leave. And I don't spend time making sure you understood it, or I explain things. Maybe I even gave you a password or let you into my email. What are some other, I'd say, so say someone's out there and they're like, I've tried VAs before, that doesn't work. I've tried outsource providers, that doesn't work. I got to have it in-house. What are some things you see people do that ultimately never works?
Again, I keep circling around this. It comes down to investing the time up front to train. Period, end of statement. That is it. If you can go through and look, even if you have the one-off VA, right? There's plenty of VA companies out there that go through and they say, oh, okay, you need VA. Great. I sourced you a VA. Sarah's your VA. And here's Sarah. Have fun. And then they leave. And that's it. They don't do anything else with Sarah. Right? Well, now you're stuck with Sarah.
Right.
And if you don't invest the time in Sarah, then it's going to fail. It's not going to work out the way that you want it to work out. And so investing the time, putting the training forth, and then, you said it pays tenfold later, right? Because as you grow, when you go from 1 VA to 2 VA to 10 VA, right? If you're partnered with the right company or you partnered with the right processes with those individuals, now that growth factor, that exponential growth factor, is so much easier. And now you don't have to worry about that anymore. That's off your plate, right? If you're a one-off mom and pop shop, you don't have to be the HR guy. You don't have to be the training guy. Because all that's now taken care of for you. You call up your provider and you say, hey, I need to expand by 2 people. What can you do for me? Oh, we can give it to you in 2 weeks. Great. Okay, when can they be up and running? What process are they going to do? They're going to do the same processes that my VA today is doing. Okay, excellent. We have all that already in our database. We're going to go ahead and train them. We can have them up and running in 3 weeks. What was your time other than the phone call?
Get that down to a text message and you got a deal. No, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is investing the time in any process, in any training, any onboarding, any new relationship, right? Like, I'm a lifelong Texas Rangers fan. Cool. We finally made the big dance and won. Garcia hit the grand slam in that 9th inning, and I think it was game 5.
That was a great game.
That was not his first swing.
No.
He'd been training and preparing for 20-something years. And I think too many people come into this business and they don't want to put that time into training and educating and working with people, going through those batting practice reps, but they do want to hit the grand slam in the 9th inning. And I like to share that because, like, nobody that's ever successful in baseball skips batting practice, right? And you got to go through the reps if you want to be successful.
Baseball is a great analogy because it's the one sport where you can fail 70% of the time and go in the Hall of Fame.
Amen. I tweeted that last month.
Did you really?
I did.
I didn't even read that, so I'm not stealing it.
Yeah, because if you're in the league for 10 years and you have a 300 average,
you're a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. And you know what? Here's the deal. We're not going to fail 70% of the time in doing what we do, right? So if you set up everything to where you only fail 10% of the time, right? You're going to set yourself up for a great business and a great life and a great career, right? And I think that in general, people just need to take a step back and they need to go through and they need to realize, hey, look, I'm going to invest a little bit up front to garner the benefits back on the backside.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back, do the Money Minute and some rapid fire. Stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Inc. is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Inc. also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-inc.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-vest.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Tim Herring, still here with Rudy Casanova. It is time for the Money Minute. Money Rudy?
Money Rudy.
Time for the Money Rudy.
Money Rudy Minute. I like it.
I mean, by the way, I must say, can we go to the shot of Rudy? You look really good, dude. Like that jacket, that kerchief, beautiful boots. Like,
I know you love my boots. That's why
like,
I wore them just for you.
This is Money Rudy. If you're listening online and you're not watching the YouTube show, you got to look at Rudy online. I mean, he's a good looking guy. Rudy, it's time for the Money Minute. 60 seconds. The best advice you have for entrepreneurs out there. You have to pretend or imagine that this is the only advice they're going to get for 30 days. You understand? It can be to your younger self. It can be to an investor just starting out, an entrepreneur that's struggling. It can be to anyone, really. But you've been doing this 17 years. You got a lot of advice for an entrepreneurs. You got to pick your best stuff. You ready?
Ready.
Go.
I would say that if I'm looking back at myself 15, 20, 30 years ago, as I started in this business, doing what I'm doing, learn from others, mentor from others, right? They are going to give you your best look into what you want to do in the future. There are people smarter than you. Everybody's smarter than me. I'm not going to lie about that. So I just surround myself with people that I know can make me better. People that I know understand what they're doing. Experts, right? Listen. Don't talk, right? The more you talk, the less you hear what they have to say. Go through. Let them impart their knowledge and wisdom to you. Ask questions, right? The more questions you ask, the more knowledge you're going to get. And I wish I had done this a lot sooner, right? And then when you do have the opportunity to bring people on with you and have them help you succeed, make sure they're better than you. Don't be afraid of that. I think so many people are concerned with, if I bring that person on, they're gonna surpass me. I want everybody to surpass me, because if they do, then that means they've given me what I've needed, and I've become more successful because of it, right? And I actively pursue that every day. I still do it today. I mean, look, I came in here with you because of how much knowledge you have and because of how much understanding you have of the business. And I walk away with something every day when I talk to you, when I talk to Jeff. And that is something that no matter how old you are, if you're 18 just out of high school, or if you're in your 50s and on the downside of your career, right? Learn. You can still do that. Everybody can still learn. Don't ever think you have all the answers, because you don't.
So I say all the time that I'm an idiot. I got no problem being an idiot either.
I don't either.
You know John Beecham, right?
100%.
I'll never forget when I first joined B2R Finance 10 years ago, and we'd never met, and we meet up in New York, and he's like, a DSCR loan. And I was like, nope. He's like, you bought thousands of houses, a DSCR loan. I was like, nope. He's like, Tim, it's based on the cash flow of the house. I was like, what are you talking about? And Jeff Tennyson, you know him too.
Yes, I do.
Jeff pulled me aside one day. We'd been at B2R for about 6 months. He goes, dude, the thing that is most special about you is you have no problem saying you don't understand what the hell someone's talking about. I'm like, yeah, man, like I can't just sit in this room and be an idiot. Like I'm going to leave here smarter. And if that means I got to stop the whole conversation, be like, whoa, this ISO stuff, what are you talking about? That will be the only time I'm ever in that room, and I don't know what that means, because I'm going to leave knowing what that means.
100%.
And I'm a huge believer in what you just said. I mean, you can't get there from here is one of the things my wife always says to me, because, I don't come from a wealthy family, a sophisticated upbringing, or even an education other than how to kill people in the Marine Corps, right? You're welcome.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah. But what I learned is, number one, I believe most people are good. 100%. And number two, successful people love sharing their success. It's the old how to win friends and influence, right? Right. The old Dale Carnegie book, right? Yep. It's like people love to talk about themselves. You give me a chance to brag on me, I'm gonna brag on me. So what Rudy said is very true. You got to take it to heart. I want to now hit you with some rapid fire stuff. You had mentioned you had to shrink your company to 20 people in 2010.
Correct.
How big is it today?
We are about 850 people.
How big was it before 2010?
About 300.
How hard was that?
It was, again, the infrastructure to start off with was the most difficult part, I think.
No, how hard was it?
Oh, to lay off,
get rid of 280 people.
Well, the funny part was the 280 people that we got rid of, they were all in the Philippines, and Chase has an operation down the street from us, and they went and pulled every one of our people out of line and hired them directly.
Oh.
It was a testament to what we had done and what we had built, that they wanted those individuals. So thankfully for me, all of my people found jobs, and I was very happy about that.
So if you're listening instead of watching, Rudy just smiled when he said that. That meant a lot to you, didn't it?
It absolutely did, because one, our employees, and no matter what job we have, no matter what company, no matter what size company you have, whether you have one employee or you have 850 employees, right? You have to care about them, because they're the ones who get you there. They're the ones who get it done for you. And I really truly believe in that. And it hurt me to know that I went down to 20 people. And then it was just a matter of retooling and rebuilding and figuring out what the best course of action was to get that done. And so we did that. And when we were successful at it, and, it was a lot of years of not getting paid, right?
Well, now you're 40 times larger than that.
That is correct. And we actually were 50 times larger than that. But then the end of last year, when the mortgage rate started to inch up, we lost a lot of the origination clients. We lost a lot of title work.
Yeah.
So we lost about 200 seats. But, we've put them on in other areas and been able to garner that growth back again. So that's been a positive. And, I just think that, value your people, trust your people, whether they're in your office or they're, 8,000 miles away in another country, right? Value your people. They're the ones who are going to help get you there on a day-to-day basis.
What keeps you up at night in business? We won't go into how, personal stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot.
What keeps you up in business?
The next market change, right? I mean, for me, it's about what market's going to crash. There's always a market crashing somewhere, right? Is that happening in one of my verticals? Is that happening in one of my business lines that I need to then account for? And then where am I going to turn to next, right? What's my next growth opportunity? Where can I get bigger, better, stronger, faster? How can I give my employees a path to success? How can I get them, the larger I get, the more path for success there is for my employees, because now they become team lead supervisors, managers. They better their lives, right? It's not just about bettering our lives. It's about bettering the lives of everyone around you.
Rising tide lifts all boats.
Amen.
Well, man, we're almost done. We're almost out of time. Website, social media, LinkedIn, you want to give it all?
Website's www.globalstrategic.com. Very, very simple. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Any of our individuals, just reach out. I mean, be happy to talk to you. And again, it's not necessarily about doing business with you today. Ask me a question. Reach out to me. Email rudy.casanova@globalstrategic.com. Yes. There you go.
I'll give you a cell phone. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? I don't have a problem with that.
No.
But, seriously, reach out to me. If you have a question, you have an idea of going down this path, I'll fill you in. I'm laid on. I like saying open kimono all the time. I'm open kimono, man. I want to give as much knowledge as I can. And then ultimately, you're going to decide whether or not you want to work with me or not.
Well, you're a great relationship guy, and kudos to you for that. And when I convinced Jeff that we needed some flexible, scalable, virtual assistant type assistant, he was adamant. He said, we're using Rudy's company, and it's been great for us. So thank you very much, and for your friendship and for the help in our business.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tim.
Thanks for being here, buddy. We're out of time.
Got it.
Folks, thanks for stopping back by. We will see you next week. Remember, your network is your net worth, and today you've been growing both. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook, and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.